The Rams have many options at quarterback in day 2 and day 3. Who will they take? Who will they take in the first round? There are 7 options we are looking at today, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, press that subscribe button now. As roughly 72.9% of you guys are watching the videos, but you're still not subscribed to the channel. So do me the favor, press that subscribe button so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. Sorry, I'll stay on the screen for a second as I'm doing something on the back end. I apologize for the late videos lately. I've been getting off work late. I'm a little tired right now. It's 11:27 as I record this, but I hope you guys enjoy me still trying to get daily Rams content out besides a very busy schedule as of late. And first things first, I did want to talk about this, right? So 7 first round options that the Rams can be looking at. And the reason why I want to discuss this is because I want you guys to start getting familiar with some of these names. Now, there are a couple that are maybe a little bit unrealistic, although albeit possible, because at the end of the day, we never know who's going to fall when it comes down to draft night. But overall, I do want to take some of these names with a grain of salt. Here are 7 names that are worth selecting for the Rams with a 26th overall pick in the first round. Obviously, look, I'm hearing fireworks outside my house. Sorry. Obviously, look, at the end of the day, there are many options for the Rams at the 26th pick in the draft. They can trade back. We just talked about last episode. But here we're discussing specific names where if the Rams stay at 26, these are very intriguing guys the Rams can take. There are a couple that I've seen that are a little unrealistic, probably not going to happen type of names. We'll discuss those, but also we'll discuss what this article talks about with some other names. And so talking about the bottom 2 here, we're talking about edge rusher James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. This article says the Rams may not necessarily have a need at edge. At the same time, you can never have too many pass rushers, which is what I was telling you guys earlier in the offseason when we were talking about possibly getting like Joey Bosa or possibly trading for Myles Garrett. Obviously, neither of those things ended up happening, but overall, you can never have too many pass rushers, right? And so this is what an idea of getting a player to just add more depth to that defensive line. You can't have any too many pass rushers. So Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Byron Young, on top of adding another player, your defense would be pretty good, pretty deep as well. You can handle some injuries if needed as well, so that'd be pretty great. Obviously, not really something the Rams need. Not really something the Rams fans would probably be excited about because it'd be a guy that's going to be rotating in and out of the lineup rather than a guy who's starting at a position of need now, right? Next one, a little unrealistic in my opinion, but hey, we've seen crazier things happen. We talked about this with another player at quarterback. We're talking about Ted McMillan out of Arizona. This guy is an incredible receiver. If the Rams were able to get him at the 26th pick, I would kind of compare that to when CeeDee Lamb fell to the Dallas Cowboys right back a couple years ago. I think the 17th pick in the draft, something like that, or Justin Jefferson falling to the 24th pick, right? Although Justin Jefferson was a little bit less hyped up at the time, overall, I think those are 2 situations where I think, obviously, in that draft class, 2 incredible receivers fell kind of more than anyone expected, especially when we're talking about CeeDee Lamb, right? Not many people expected him to go the 17th pick in the draft. I think that was the pick of that draft, right? And so that's kind of what I compare it to. Ted McMillan is a player who's been an incredible receiver in his career, incredible catches. Just look at some highlight tapes just to kind of watch the incredible things he's done on the field against guys like Travis Hunter playing defense as well. And so shout out to Ted McMillan. If he fell in the Rams' lap, I think you would have arguably the best receiving core in the NFL in year 1 for Ted McMillan. Moving on from that, we're talking about these 2 options here. Another unrealistic, if you will, option in Shedeur Sanders. Not really expecting him to fall this low in the draft, but of course, I think the Rams need a quarterback. I think Shedeur Sanders would be an incredible quarterback to take to sit behind Matthew Stafford, watch him learn the offense, learn under Sean McVay, a little more mobile than Matthew Stafford. So when Stafford decides to retire, Shedeur Sanders, I think, would be an incredible quarterback for the Rams to have ready sitting after a redshirt year. Again, when we're talking about redshirt quarterback years in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes is a guy who really benefited clearly from doing that behind Alex Smith out in Kansas City. And so maybe that'd be something great for Shedeur Sanders if he was still on the board at the 26th pick of the draft. Then we have cornerback Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Looks like a incredible cornerback. Long arms, aggressive, just a swagger he has, honestly, with the fits he has, the arm sleeves, the bands and everything. He just looks like a lockdown cornerback. Similar fashion, Barron is similar to Starks in the same sense. This is another guy we're going to talk about in a second. He can play anywhere in the secondary, while Barron is a better fit inside at the nickel or safety. He kind of does look like a safety when you watch him out in the field. He can play on the outside and hold his own there if needed. That shouldn't be his full-time spot, but he can certainly do it. And so this would be a situation where the Rams are looking more at the inside cornerback, the nickel cornerback position, maybe a free safety as well, a mixture of that. I think the versatility of a defense would be impressive for the Rams to look at in this scenario, but ultimately I think the Rams are looking more outside corner than inside corner. But hey, I think they'll take any talented cornerback at this point in the draft, and maybe Jay Barron could be that guy for the Rams. Moving off of that, before we get into the last story here, Colston Loveland out of Michigan. There's another tight end we've been discussing here, of course, many times on this platform, obviously discussing the possibility of getting Colston Loveland. It's very likely, I think, if Colston Loveland is there for the Rams, that he will end up being a Ram. I keep saying this, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's been way too much smoke around Colston Loveland for it not to be a real possibility. The Rams are interested in Colston Loveland out of Michigan. I don't see him getting past the Los Angeles Chargers pick in this scenario. I don't really see that happening. I think any Michigan guy would be very intriguing for the coach over in the Chargers, Harbaugh, former head coach for Michigan. So I don't think he's going to get past him, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And then number 2, Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. Obviously, the Rams don't really need a safety as well, but again, you're adding depth on defense. If he can start for you as a safety, obviously you're improving at the safety position because you would be assuming that he's better than the guys you already have in the room. And so that's where I think the Rams would kind of be fine with taking a guy like Malachi Stark. So overall, this is why we talked about this yesterday. I'm not super excited about any of these. Okay, of course, I'll be excited about Ted McMillan. I'll be excited about Shedeur Sanders. But there's very limited guys that are realistic for the Rams to take at the 26th pick in the draft that I am super ecstatic about. I think the Rams should definitely trade back in this scenario, pick up a second-round pick if possible, if not an extra third-round pick, and just add more to the drafting pool. Because right now, at this moment in time, I'm just not really liking what's left at the 26th pick in the draft, unless they're going to settle for unless they're going to end up taking a tackle, an offensive tackle, which seems to be a position that could be kind of open right there in that range of the first round. If you're going to get a guy who's going to be like a right tackle sitting behind Rob Havenstein, I'd be intrigued in that route. But again, I want the Rams to get guys that are going to be good now in the draft, especially when we're talking about their first round pick. Moving on from that, day 2/day 3. Quarterbacks the Rams can be looking at to draft this upcoming season, or off season, I should say. And there are a couple of names that are very intriguing. Here, we're talking about this story here, 3-day 3 quarterbacks options for the Rams. Now, I don't want to say, shout out to Jared Feidenberg, by the way. I don't want to say all 3 of these guys are day 3 picks. I'm actually intrigued to see where a couple of these guys end up falling, but ultimately these are later round picks, right? Not first round picks that the Rams can be looking at when it comes down to the quarterback position. Again, a name that we've talked about on this channel before, so we won't get too crazy talking about this one here. Well, firstly, we'll talk about this one. We haven't really mentioned Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame much on the channel, and so he's an intriguing name here. Of course, Leonard's a tough as they come as a passer, dual threat. I'm pulling up some notes here on the side so I can pull this image up so you guys can see what I'm reading about. Having the opportunity to be coached by McVay could provide some great possibilities. A developmental player. Honestly, when we're talking about these day 3 quarterbacks, we are looking at quarterbacks that are not going to be Matthew Stafford replacements necessarily. We're looking at Stetson Bennett replacements, right? Guys who you think the Rams can kind of potentially grow and form into being a future starter at some point. But at that point, if you take a Riley Leonard or a couple other guys we're going to talk about on this part of the episode, I think you're hoping Stafford plays 1, maybe even 2 more years to give these guys time to develop in McVay's system. Riley Leonard, I'm not saying anything bad about him, but I do think he's a player that would be very developmental, someone you want to see grow over time, and he may not be ready even after 1 season sitting behind Matthew Stafford. So former Duke, Notre Dame standout. Good arm, push the ball downfield and ass, work ethic, toolkit, arm talent, all that good stuff. But overall, he'll need some time. He'll need some time for sure, and that's kind of where we're at when we're talking about the possibility of Riley Leonard being that guy. Then we're moving into the next most interesting player here, a guy that I've kind of discussed on the channel as being a guy I feel the Rams will end up drafting. Someone I just feel that I don't know. Just feel not that he feels like a Ram. Not that I think the Rams are going to take him for sure. It's more just like I have a weird feeling the Rams are going to end up taking him in the draft. Quinn Ewers out of Texas. Can't put my nose on why I think the Rams are going to take him, but I just feel like he's a guy who's going to end up being a Ram, sitting behind Matthew Stafford this year. Could be an interesting project for McVay, especially with how big of a profile Ewers has had since high school days. Former number 1 overall recruit in the class of 2021. Again, a guy who's been very hyped at times in his career. A guy who's also fallen down in terms of the hype in his career. And so that's kind of where I'm intrigued by him. He's clearly got a little bit of talent right in his arsenal, but overall had some highs, had some lows at Texas. What will he become in the NFL? If anything, that is very intriguing to see. We'll see what Sean McVay can do with him if he ends up being a Ram. I think he might be. I feel like Quinn Ewers might be the guy. If I had a bet on it, I think Quinn Ewers might be a Los Angeles Ram next season. And then last but not least, we can talk about a very intriguing player that I think is very, very interesting. We're talking about Will Howard, the Ohio State Buckeyes quarterback. And the reason why he's very intriguing is because he is pretty talented, right? He did won the national championship, right? And so obviously a champion, a winner. We just saw that with Stetson Bennett, though. That doesn't really mean anything, right? Just because you won a championship in college does not mean it's going to translate into the NFL. Stetson Bennett has, unfortunately, not really shown much flashes in the NFL. And so Will Howard, is he going to be in that same boat? We'll wait and see. Can we give him a chance? We'll wait and see if the Rams end up giving him a chance. But overall, a very intriguing player. Had a solid pro day, I think. And so overall, would fit nice with McVay. Loves to allow his quarterbacks to play with bigger platforms. Talking about McVay, there's some technique and physical aspects of his game that could be detrimental to his ability at starting quarterback in the NFL, but without the need to play right away. If at all, McVay could have some fun with this potential project. Overall, any day 3 quarterback is probably going to be a project, right? So I don't mean to disrespect any of these guys. But if either of these guys fall to day 3, ultimately I do think that all 3 of these guys will be looked at as project quarterbacks, sitting behind Matthew Stafford, seeing what they can do against Stetson Bennett replacements. Can they beat out Stetson Bennett, or will they be the ones on the practice squad while Stetson Bennett may be the emergency quarterback? That's going to be kind of the conversation around either of these guys if they were to be drafted by the Rams this upcoming draft. Moving on from that, last but not least, my favorite part of the episode, I give you guys a trivia question. You guys give your answers down below in the comments, and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Whether you're right, whether you're wrong, this is trivia of the day. If you guys missed last episode's trivia of the day, here was the question posed. What team owner is credited with coming up with the phrase Super Bowl in 1967? So again, which team owner is credited with coming up with the phrase Super Bowl in 1967? We had some multiple choice options, which were A, George Halas, was it B, Art Model, was it C, Art Modell, C, Lamar Hunt, or was it D, Al Davis? Here were the guesses on the last trivia episode. We had Brian B saying George Halas. We had Floyd saying George Halas. We had Tim saying C, Hunt. We had the Real J Will saying Lamar Hunt for the Chiefs. And we had Steven saying Lamar Hunt, even though he typed it incorrectly. Those were the guesses for the trivia of the day. I appreciate all of you guys for playing along. Whether you got it right, whether you get it wrong, I always appreciate you guys commenting your guesses. The correct answer was C, Lamar Hunt for the Chiefs. Shout out to everybody who got that one right. Tim, the Real J Will, and Steven. All 3 of you guys got it correct. I appreciate you guys. Also, again, Brian B, Floyd, you guys always play along. I appreciate both of you guys for playing along and guessing, because clearly you're not Googling the answer, so I appreciate it. Not that anyone who got it right is. I'm just saying when you get it wrong, you're showing me that you're not Googling the answer, clearly, right? Because you're actually guessing. So appreciate all of you guys for playing along at home. If you guys want to play along with today's trivia of the day, play along with this question here. The owner of what NFL team is also is a majority shareholder of the soccer club, the Arsenal Football Club, that plays in the English Premier League. So which one of these owners, or the owner of which team, is also the owner of the Arsenal Football Club that plays in the English Premier League? I'm not sure if they're still the owner, or the majority shareholder, but at some point in time, this owner was the majority shareholder. By the way, fun fact, really quickly, I went to Europe last year, toured the Arsenal, what are they called, the Gunners? The Arsenal's field, and did a whole field tour and everything, the stadium tour. pretty awesome to see. Honestly, a pretty cool tour, pretty inclusive tour as well. Very, very unique in terms of all the things they provide the fans. So I'm a little bit of an Arsenal fan, if I will say so myself. So the owner of what NFL team also is a majority shareholder, or at least was at some point in time, majority shareholder of the soccer football club, the Arsenal Football Club that plays in the English Premier League? Was it A, the owner for the Falcons? Was it B, the owner for the Jaguars? Was it C, the owner for the Rams? Or was it D, the owner for the Dolphins? Give your guesses down below in the comment section. Other than that, that's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Appreciate you guys being patient with these later videos. I will try my best to get some earlier videos out sooner rather than later. Been a busy schedule, but I'll get back on track sooner rather than later. That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I am out.